The Fergus Falls State Hospital, one of only a few surviving Kirkbride Plan hospitals throughout the country, resides on a hill on the north side of the city of Fergus Falls, Minnesota. The 11-acre facility was built by architect Warren Dunnell in 1887 and opened for use on the 29th of July in 1890. The building was designated on the National Register of Historic Places in 1896 under Criterion C for exceptional and distinct architectural style. The facility has two periods of significance, one from 1857 to 1899 and the second from 1900 to 1924. In the years since the facility's closure in 2007, the state hospital has had many different possible futures, facing everything from renovation into luxury apartments to demolition. The most recent proposal is to rehabilitate the hospital into a PTSD treatment center. If this plan falls through, as so many of its predecessors has, the building could again face demolition. The state hospital has a history well known to the people of Fergus Falls, Minnesota, but many of us may be unfamiliar with this historic resource. The facility is a combination of Romanesque Revival, Beaux-Arts, and Chateauesque style, characterized by many instances of heavy brick construction, ornate towers, rounded windows, and steeply pitched roofs. The namesake of this facility as a Kirkbride building comes from 19th century Dr. Thomas Story Kirkbride, who founded the Association of Medical Superintendents of American Institutions for the Insane. Being a proponent of the ethical treatment of the mentally ill, Kirkbride developed his famous plan for these institutions based on his own theory of how to create a place that would be conducive to the rehabilitation of the mentally ill, rather than excluding these people from society. Through the promotion of his plan, Kirkbride made an impact on the entire asylum community of the United States, and many facilities using his plans have been renowned as historical resources. Kirkbride's plan in the Fergus Falls State Hospital features a central tower building that was home to the directors of the facility and two massive wings that formed in a low-profile U-shape. The hospital was strictly an institution for the insane for the majority of its time in use and housed an average of 550 patients who were dispersed according to Kirkbride's plan throughout the facility. Each wing was meant to have access to sunlight and fresh air, the grounds meant to be kept full of greenery, and all features of security masked, according to Kirkbride himself. The various auxiliary buildings of the facility were staffed by patients to promote healthy development, and many were expanded upon throughout the hospital's time in use. Patients at the hospital could work in areas such as gardening, farming, sewing, caring for animals, and working with food for the facility. All of these practices contributed to the hospital's self-sufficiency and were meant to be conducive to the growth of patients. Pete Clicker, a former employee of the hospital from 1979 to 1980, remembers the facility offering church services, Boy Scout and Girl Scout programs, educational programs, a large cafeteria, and even a soda fountain. But for the most part, Pete remembers that his job was mostly maintaining the residents of the hospital. Some of the stories Pete recounts show that though the hospital had so many programs in place, they did little to no good for the patients who were incredibly ill. Many of the patients he cared for showed little to no chance of progressing, and he positively attributes the move into group home care for the demise of the facility. Eventually, the state hospital transitioned into a facility strictly for the treatment of chemical dependency issues in the late 1990s and early 2000s before it closed, like so many other Kirkbride institutions, in 2007. Currently, the building's main Kirkbride tower is in fair condition after being restored from a fire in 2009. The rest of the exterior is largely intact apart from some missing bricks and broken windows. The interior of the building, however, is quite deteriorated. There is peeling paint, extensive mold and moisture damage, broken fixtures, and the hallways are littered with dead bats. To the people of Fergus Falls, the state hospital complex is a treasured icon to residents for its beauty, vastness, and history. The town of Fergus Falls is small, with a population of only 13,000. This facility therefore contributes to an enormity of the square footage of space in Fergus Falls, and in its heyday was definitely a concentration of industry and institutionalization in the surrounding areas. Because of this attachment to the facility, residents are eager to see the complex get back on its feet again. Many community efforts have been made to help revitalize and bring attention to the property, such as hosting the city's annual Summerfest activities, a haunted house, and even acting as a venue for photos. There's a Facebook group titled Friends of the Kirkbride that acts as a collaborative space for people near Kirkbride buildings across America to share photos, videos, information, and updates on the state of these now rare hospitals. This group's Fergus Falls community is trying to raise money for the rehabilitation of the Kirkbride, in whatever form that rehabilitation takes. Currently, new water and sewer lines are being installed in the facility, and the building's vast network of tunnels is set for demolition. As mentioned earlier, the hospital has seen its fair share of rehabilitation proposals, but the most recent is a push to rehab the facility into a PTSD treatment center. The city has been working with the hopeful developers and the residents of Fergus Falls through tours, meetings, and city council hearings. Residents old and young have put a great deal of emotional value into this property, and to see it handled poorly or go to demolition would be tragic for many. Even if the proposal for this facility to be repurposed is accepted, a great deal of work must go in to make the structure livable. These plans could involve integrity-altering changes to both the interior and exterior of the facility. On the other hand, if the building remains unutilized for too long, it could again face demolition, resulting in one more of the rare Kirkbride buildings being erased from the landscape of American mental health treatment. The future of the Kirkbride thus remains an ellipsis to those both interested and invested in its future, and it will remain so until some action is taken to either preserve or demolish this facility and its history.